Welcome back everyone to a new video. I know it's been a while, but it's been a really busy time in life. In this video I want to discuss what life has looked like. This video is not necessarily me giving advice or opinions or anything like that. It's just me explaining what I've been up to so that you guys can keep updated in the journey if you're interested, so I can log the journey for myself to look back on, and so I can of course kind of hold myself accountable. That is the intention of a video like this one. So I want to get into this one straight away. I'm not sure how interesting it's going to be to everybody, but perhaps my story will be some motivation, or it's just going to let you know what I've been doing. So I'm filming this one in the car. I do apologise for perhaps the bad audio, the echoiness, the bad lighting. It's a very rainy day here in England, and all that sort of stuff. You know, I just took the time to film as and where I can because, quite frankly, at the minute, time is scarce for non-essential things. Anyway, if this is the first time that you've been watching for a while, or it's the first time that you've seen a car video for a while, I am in a new car. I've explained this before that I got a new car, and well, here it is. I've had it for a while and it's not gone wrong at all. It's been a super reliable car. It's a very big car. Well, for UK sizes at least, it's a kind of car that a lot of my friends are like, well, how did you pull that one off in insurance and all that sort of stuff? The car that I bought, if you want to know, is a 1999, so very old, Volkswagen Passat, and it's been brilliant in every way. It's not broken at all. It needs a service. It's quite soon, but that's just routine maintenance, and one small suspension component. It's been a really good car. Despite that, it's not been cheap. And I'm just updating you guys on everything that I've been doing, right? This car is awful on fuel, right? It never breaks. It really is a tank. It's very fast. Terrible on fuel. It really does. It's not uncommon to see single-digit miles per gallon. So very expensive on fuel. The insurance. Now this is where things got a lot more expensive. I was quoted a very cheap price on insurance. My last car that I drove was half the engine, and a much newer model, so a lot safer as well. That car was more to insure than this one was. So I'm like, brilliant. Then I get a call from the insurance company last month saying, oh, we miscalculated your quotes. There's an extra charge. So it was even more than I expected. And if you're in the UK, you'll know things like road tax on big engine cars, old cars. It's terrible, right? So it's a fortune to run, but I wouldn't change it for the world, right? Because the car, and not only just buying the car, but also the experience of my last car breaking, taught me how vulnerable adult life is if you don't have a substantial amount of money. Fortunately for me at the time, I did have a substantial amount, enough to obviously scrap my old car and then buy this new one, so it's fine, but it taught me that I need to get on the grind a lot more. So I've been working a lot, to be honest, right? I don't need, even at this stage, to work full-time, and I don't want to. I'm not going to lie to you guys, right? But I've been working close to full-time. Some weeks I have been working full-time, but I've got a part-time job, so that the responsibility of having to work full-time isn't there. For me, that works out a little bit better. But I've been doing a lot of different things at work, and I'm not going to explain too much about what job I actually do, but let me explain this, right? It's been a super eye-opening experience. I started off working there and I really didn't like it, to be honest. I didn't like the concept of having a job, I didn't like the concept of working for someone else, and I didn't like the fact that I was stuck there for a number of hours. I still am not the biggest fan of these things, but here's the thing, right? If you're going to push yourself anyway, if you really want to push yourself to new challenges, new money-making opportunities, a new lifestyle perhaps, you've just got to suck it up, right? So I can go to work and hate it. I can go to work and love it. One of those things is going to make work a lot longer, a lot more jarring, and the other one's going to make it a lot more enjoyable. I'm not going to act like it's necessarily the most fun in the world. It's quite boring, and there's not much to do, but you can have a laugh with it, right? You can have a laugh with it sometimes, and when you can't have a laugh with it, just remember your money's coming in. Now, obviously, work has never been something that I've professed on the channel of being a huge fan of, and I'm not. But here's the thing, right? Even just working part-time and the hours that I'm working, to cut a long story short, because you guys know this is a money channel, I have no issues talking about the money side of things. Working on the hours that I'm working now, which is not intense, it's like 3 days a week, on a good week. Sometimes it's like 4 or 5, but like I say, on those hours, 3 days a week, I can make an extra £10,000 a year. And I can go straight into stocks, investments. You know, like I've said before on the channel, I want to use money to... I've got a lot of different passions that I can tie into businesses. Selling luxury watches, reselling clothes, reselling cars even. But you need a lot of money, a lot of liquid capital to be able to do this. And also, even if it's not for investments, let's not lie. My other businesses, let's say eBay, whatever, £10,000 extra profit, because obviously work, there's no real expenses, minus driving or getting the bus there. The money's profit, right? So realistically, let's say transport costs might be 1,000. That's £9,000 a year in profit that can just go wherever. But just rounding it back up to 10,000, if I was earning before 10,000, I'm earning 20. If I was earning 30, I'm now earning 40. It's a nice little extra income. And I want to speak about my main income, because as the books actually still balance, my own businesses are substantially more of an income percentage than what my job is, right? And I prefer it that way, because like I say, if my job was my only thing, and it always was, I'd have to work full time. If I'm smart about it, I wouldn't have to work full time because I don't really have any expenses. But if I wanted to push myself to increase my income, I'd have to work full time, right? Because I run businesses, I can work on the schedule that I can, and also I can still make absolute leaps and bounds in my own business journey. So a bit more on that, because that's obviously what a lot of you guys will be most interested about, right? I have, in the past month or two, seen eBay sales increases of round about 200% month on month, right? 200%. This past month on eBay, so we're coming to the end of September, I think. So the dates have gone past me. But yeah, September, I believe it is. It's been my most profitable / high earning month, combining all different businesses that I do ever, right? And I know I'm only 21, so that might not sound too impressive, but think about that, right? In the past month, with the money that I've made from a job, with the money that I've made from really taking my reselling businesses seriously, expanding into new categories, investing in things, this has been the most profitable month I have ever seen, ever. And we're not talking about an insignificant amount of money. Now, it's not that I don't want to tell you guys, but I need to kind of calculate it myself, how much money I've actually made in profit across all different things. But I think it's probably between £3,000 and £4,000. I might be wrong, right? But off the top of my head, I've got the spreadsheets, and as the end of the month comes in, which is tomorrow, I'm going to calculate everything. I think it is going to be between £3,000 and £4,000 profits that I've made across all streams. So yeah, that's that. eBay has taken an interesting turn. As I say, revenues have increased, profits have increased, but it's not for lack of trying, right? I have now taken the time to list 25 items a day realistically, right? So some days it's less, because I'm not going to lie, if you've been working 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, and I know people might say, well, 6 hours isn't a long time to work. Yeah, but you guys don't know where I live in relation to my workplace, and I'm not going to disclose that information. I don't think I should, obviously. But what I'm going to say is, right, it could be an extra hour either way. So a 6-hour shift realistically is an 8-hour shift. An 8-hour shift is realistically 10, and a 10 is realistically 12. So you come in from one of those, you don't necessarily always want to do as many listings. But I'm trying to make it 25 a day, right? For the most part, I'm able to stick to that. For the record, I try and have one day off a week, because I need to have some quality of life. I'm not going to lie, right? And that day of the week, I can do whatever I want. So maybe no listings, obviously no work, no other businesses for that one day. And I might take myself to, I don't know, just by myself, or maybe with a friend, maybe with someone else. Might take myself on a walk in the countryside. I might take myself to a big city in the UK like Manchester or Birmingham to experience the vibes there as well. But in this video, I'm kind of going off the tangent, but I'm allowed to, because this is just me explaining what I've been up to. That's what I do on my days off. But for the past week, yesterday I did 20 eBay listings, right? And I went to work as well. I was running the businesses as well. I even had time to catch up with a friend and go to the gym. So 20 wasn't bad considering what I did. The day before that, it was like 35. The day before that was one of the days I had off, but I still thought, well, if I'm going to have it off, I can do a little bit of work. 15 listings on my day off. I'm not going to complain, right? So realistically, I am able to stick to this schedule, and it's working. And like I say, income is increasing because of that. Now, bear in mind, prior to this, I was doing 5 listings a day. Now I'm up to like 25 realistically. eBay is not the only thing that I've been looking into, but whilst we're on the topic, I have expanded outside of my niche, right? For the past year or so, I've been selling in one specific niche on eBay. I'm not going to complain about that. It's made a nice amount of money, right? It always has. It's always been life on easy mode. But I don't want to live life on easy mode anymore. I want to see more money coming in, so it's time for change. And that's what I've done. Now I'm in a new category as well. A few new categories, actually. And actually this month, because of all of the different work that I'm doing, it's so exciting, right? I'm genuinely mean that. I am stressed, I am quite tired, but I'm excited about this journey. So I had my most profitable and highest revenue eBay sale this month ever. Another big thing, right? A lot of money coming in through that, a lot of different things that are happening now, and so eBay's been picking up like brilliant, right? It really has. The money that I've made from eBay, because, again, after having to buy 2 cars and whatnot, I will make no secret of the fact I didn't have much money. I had enough, but it's like you're driving around in this big car and everyone's thinking, oh, that's such a cool car. But it's like, if it breaks, I can't afford it. Obviously, that's not the case now, so I'm happy to talk about that. I had to kind of disappear off the internet for a weekend or for a month and just make some money quickly. So that's what I did. Took that money, I've invested it in the stock market. Can't speak too soon, but so far I've realistically drawn around £600 profit this month. Is that a sustainable growth? No. Am I going to bank profits before I have losses? Yes. I've learnt my lessons and I'm not going to be an idiot, right? I've been there. I was 17. I've explained that story, I think, before, where I lost money in the stock market. Not happening to me again. I know what I'm doing now a lot more. I'm not going to say completely, but again, it's been an extra nice earner of about £600. Whether that's sustainable for the long term, every month, probably not. But for now, I'm not going to complain. Nice amount of money coming in. So that's eBay, that's the stock market. That is the job. Again, that's been the 3 big streams of income, because the job, well, obviously the more hours you work, the more money you will get. The eBay thing, that's an established business that I've had, and as long as I carry on with it, I believe it will continue to make money. And the stock market is something I've had experience with before, but never really had the push to get into. Now, they are not the only streams that I'm looking into at the minute and also experimenting with. On top of that, I am also getting back into Etsy selling. I had a lot of trouble with Etsy selling, but remember, whilst that is true, I actually, at the beginning of this YouTube channel, had a lot of trouble with eBay selling, right? My account got banned. I had a lot of problems. Now, obviously, anything can go wrong at any minute, so I don't want to chance it. But for the past year and about 6 months now, I've been eBay selling easily, because you learn your mistakes, right? Some people will sit there and say, oh, my account got banned, did this wrong. Okay, that's true. Maybe you messed up, maybe you violated policies, this, that, whatever, yeah? As a grown adult, I can learn from that. So I'm trying to get into Etsy selling. Now, what is my message here? What am I saying that has happened in my life? I've explained this in detail before, but what I want to say now is I've embraced the struggle. And I'm going to make another video whilst I'm sat here, because traffic is bad, and if I'm going to be sat in traffic, I'd rather sit here for an hour, film some videos, maybe get some extra subscribers, and have a chat, right? But here's the thing. The past month has been exciting because I've embraced the challenge. Some people will be in the position that I was in, or perhaps you could argue I put myself in, because I didn't need a car at all in the first place. So I didn't need to buy the car. I could have saved myself money on the car. And I didn't need to go out and buy another car, specifically such an expensive one. But I am glad that I did, right? Because I've always wanted to have this model of car. I know it's a weird one for people to want, but fair enough, you want what you want. And I thought, as soon as I got it, right, I am the sort of person in my own head, I'm not going to let someone take it away from me, right? Because of my own inabilities. You didn't have to get a car like this, and I think the reason why a lot of my mates are impressed by it is because there's a reason why 40-year-olds drive big cars, right? Not 20-year-olds. But I had to make money because of that, and I'm glad I did it, because now I have the item. Not necessarily to show to the world. I don't care about being flashy. A lot of people will see this and just think it's a really old car. There's a lot of people who have to explain why you've bought a 30-year-old car. Some people think, oh, it's old, you must be broke. I don't care, right? But I had to prove to myself, you can make this work. And now my income has increased to a point where this car, the expensive car, it's so cheap, right? Because you've increased your income unbelievably. And this is just going to keep going because I am not going to give up. You see, I sat there the other day when I went off on my day off, right? I made sure to do this. I made videos talking about this fact, but I had to do it in my current state of mind. Because I'm not going to lie, when you have worked, because obviously shift patterns, right? You might only be working maybe 5 days a week, but depending on how those days are split throughout the week, it could actually work 5 days. Okay, let's say you're working 3 days a week per 7 days, but because of how that's split, you could end up doing 6-7 days in a row, right? So when you've done that, it can get a bit depressing, right? And so I have to take myself off, and I took myself off on my day off to Manchester City because around here it's like the most affluent part of the north, money-wise, status-wise, and I just reminded myself of the fact that, yeah, I'm looking at people now who are living in these high-rise apartments, who have got much better cars than me, right? I've seen guys driving around some of the rarest cars that I've ever seen. I'm a big car fan, so, you know, I can spot certain models straight away, even if it looks regular to your average person. I'm like, I know that's a 150 grand car. Even if it only looks like a Mercedes C-Class, it's actually a C63 Black or a Brabus or something like that. I'm like, this could be me now, right? So I've started to embrace the journey. So now if I do that once a week or once a month or whatever, take myself off to see things, I am inspired again, because I'm like, look, my challenge always has been, you know, oh, well, I'll make some money on eBay, and one day it might blow up if I do 5 listings a day. And now I sit back, and I know it's only been a month or two, but I'm like, bro, you can make big moves happen now, right? Because I think, and this is going to be another video that I'm going to film straight after I film this one, at my age, myself included, and a lot of my peer group seem to have this feeling around them, like, oh, you know, the big idea is going to come, and it probably is. But here's the thing, you could be doing certain things now. It wasn't that expensive to buy this car, and it wasn't that undoable. It took a month of really hard work, physical and mental, obviously going to work physically and mentally, eBay stuff and that. It took a month of hard work, and now you've got a really nice car. Paid off. There is no finance on this car. There never was finance on this car. I paid it cash. There's no insurance payments that are due. Everything's paid off on this car, right? Paid for cash. So that's that. What's next? Well, if I keep earning at a rate, and I'm not saying it is possible, because certain things were one-off payments or one-off incomes that I've had this month, but if I keep working at this rate, it's not unobtainable that you could be living in a high-rise, high city centre apartment. Because what I'm trying to say here is, it's always been a case of, well, when I'm older, this will happen. Look, the eBay thing was good, but now we need to turbocharge it, supercharge it. 5 listings a day? No. More like 50 listings a day, but right now that is too big of a jump. Is it possible for the long term? Yes. I'll need to increase my selling limits and that sort of stuff. But for the past month, again, minus the odd day, sometimes 2, sometimes I have half days, whether it's at work, whether it's in my businesses, whether it's both. Some days I have half days where I hang about with mates or do what I want. But realistically, 6 days a week is just working on stuff. And have a few of my relationships taken a hit? Not necessarily, because the bond is still strong, but in a way, yes. It does mean that I can't see my friends as much as I'd like to. It does mean that I can't see the girls in my life as much as I'd like to. It does mean that I can't even see my family as much as I'd like to. But here's the thing, right? If I do this for a year, whether it's the work, whether it's pushing hard on eBay, I could easily have, let's make it very, very conservative, 25,000 extra in savings in a year, right? That's not, I don't feel that stressed right now. I don't feel like I'm pushing myself to a ridiculously hard degree. But think about how my life could, I'm talking to myself here, because like I say, I'm kind of documenting my journey. How could my life change if I had an extra £25,000 a year coming in? An extra 25,000, right? Whether it's living at home and putting that in savings to maybe invest, whether it's getting a place that's a lot nicer, whether it's getting a car that's even bigger or better or whatever. Obviously, I'm not talking about making ostentatious purchases to impress other people, but I do believe that there does need to be some satisfaction for your work for you to feel validated doing it, right? How much better could my quality of life be if I carried on this path, right? And I think more long term as well. So I don't necessarily mind the job that I'm working in, but it's not for me a long term ambition. I know some people get the job or get the career and they're like, oh, that's amazing, I feel like I'm complete. Credit to you. I've said this before, right? If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a teacher, if you want to be a street sweeper. If you are happy in your position, great. I have always wanted more, right? And I still want more. But now I actually equate, if this car costs 150,000, I might need to do this much work and this much investing and think about this and start this new business. Now I'm thinking about it. And having the work as the backdrop, I don't mind it, but it is another humbling reminder as to why starting your own businesses needs to be the thing. You see, in winter, work isn't that bad. Because the UK, I'm sure you can hear the rain in the car. The UK is miserable in winter. It's absolutely dreadful. But come summertime and you want to go on the bike and you want to go for a walk and you wish that you were hanging out with your mates, and some of your mates who are still in uni are going out for drinks, and it's not what I want to do. It's not where I want to be. But is it going to free you? Honestly, at this rate, it very easily could. So for me, what I'm trying to say is I'm all in, right? I'm all in on a number of things. I don't mind about sacrificing a bit of my pride to have a job, sacrificing a bit of my time, a bit of my perhaps even happiness. It's going to make me a lot more happy long term, right? Because now I can see a vision that was previously unobtainable. Because if your income at 21, I believe, or 22, going into next year, is 50,000. I'm not saying it will be. I don't know. But let's say, for argument's sake, a hypothetical situation where your income is 50,000 at 22 years old, you're not doing bad for yourself, are you? Because I think this is another mistake. A lot of guys, these are all videos that I'm going to film right now, so I'm not trying to give too much away. I'm just trying to explain my situation. A lot of the guys that I've spoken to in life recently, friends, since I've had this real mindset shift, have been like, I'm financially free, or I think one day I will have this. It's like, bro, as someone who's now seen the world in a different perspective, you are and aren't, but realistically aren't financially free if you're a university student. You're not financially free, you are subsidised by a student loan, or at least here in the UK. You are not financially free 100% if you still live at home with your parents. You are subsidised by them. If you're not living the lifestyle that you want, not need, right? And what I mean by that is societal standards will teach you a lot of things. They tell you to work all hours, they tell you to drive this car and get a mortgage. I've said before, and I still agree with a lot of these sentiments, I don't agree with a lot of these things. I don't want to get a mortgage right now. I don't think it's something that works for me. I don't want to work a 9 to 5, right? I don't work a 9 to 5 now. I don't work the hours of 9 to 5. Because literally I've headed out to the shops and I've got stuck in 2 hours worth of traffic to get to my house 3 miles away. So I don't want to work a 9 to 5, but I want a certain number of things. So if you're not where you want in life, you're not financially free. And I think that's what I've thought for the past few years. I've been doing all right with my businesses, but one day I'm going to be at the penthouse and no, you're not. No, you're not, because you are not financially free now. You are not on the road to financial freedom. You have not got meaningful vision, a meaningful view as to how you're going to get the money up fast, right? Because this is what I've realised, right? I'm glad I've realised this at 21. If you do not get on your grind now, the years are flying by, right? You'll be 23, 25, 27. Then people are like, well, you're really going to try start this business now? You're really going to do this? And of course, you shouldn't agree or believe in what people think. Believe in what you want. But here's the thing. That's a real negative. And also, the challenges get steeper in life. I'm realising this now. 3 years ago, my living costs were literally nil. I was living for free, right? I'm not going to lie. If I'm 21 now, you can do the maths. I clearly can't. Okay, maybe let's say 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I was living basically for free, no car, no real expenses apart from going out with friends. I was making money online, but because your expenses were nil, making £15,000, the rain's coming down a lot now, so I'm going to have to start kind of shouting. Making £15,000 at that age is an awful lot of money. When you get to 20 or 21, this is my second car, right? And it is an unnecessarily expensive car. I'm not going to make a secret about that. And some people will say that's a financial suicide decision. Maybe it is, but I've worked harder because of it, right? Because you feel the rewards of your work. My living costs now are significantly higher, and I have to pay rent, right? But I pay rent to family, so even then it's subsidised. If I get my own place and have a car and have a... your living costs are going to skyrocket. So right now, yes, I have expenses, but they're not that high. Even this gas guzzling old car is cheap to run. It's fuel and a bit of maintenance. It's not expensive, really. So I'm like, okay, I can put away maybe 70% of my income, right? So that can go into savings. It can go into stocks. It can go into buying stock to start a new business. I've said this before. I want to start, and this time I'm going to do it. But I want to have more money in savings for that extra security net, and also more money in stocks. But eventually I want to start buying luxury watches to sell, like Rolexes and Omegas. I can see a business in that, right? If my living costs were significantly higher and my income was significantly lower, this is going to be impossible. And then you are trapped, right? Then you are trapped. Because now how the hell do you raise up £1,000 to risk on a watch? How am I going to raise up £1,000 to risk on a watch if I've got rent, food, bills, utilities, car, and I'm working full time? It's not possible. In my current life position, it is. And I'm going to utilize this. Basically, my mind has changed, not in vision, because I've always known what the vision is. I am the guy. I am the guy that sits there, and I always think, see, I've seen just when I went out today, an Audi R8. I'm like, that car's brilliant. How the hell does someone afford an Audi R8 ever? The newer model, not the old one, because the old one is quite cheap due to depreciation. How does someone afford a car like that? I can't comprehend it. I'm getting there, but that gets me thinking about different avenues of money making. And I've always known what the vision is. I want to live in these sorts of places, drive these sorts of cars, but I've never really been willing to put to use a car analogy, rubber on the road, if you get what I mean, right? Get the wheels moving. Because life is comfortable. And this past month, there's been a lot of discomfort. There's been a lot of challenge. There's been a lot of stress. There's been a lot of not knowing what to do, a lot of risk involved. But there's never a time to risk like now. There's never a time to be stressed like now. There's never a time to work full time like now and run a business, because I've got loads of energy. I can go to work and go to the gym in the same day. I don't care. I can go to work and do my 25 listings. I can stay up all night, not playing games, researching business ideas. Right? So the past month for me has been stress. It's been somewhat disappointing. It's been somewhat, I don't want to use the phrase soul destroying, because it's also been quite enlightening and enriching as well. I've learned a lot, right? I've seen a different side of life. I respect the 9 to 5 now. I respect it, but the 9 to 5 is not a game that I want to play, right? I've always known that, but it's one thing saying it and it's another thing feeling it. Even though I've not worked 9 to 5, I now know how it feels to clock in, clock out, check your watch for the next 10 minutes, and then we get to clock off, then I can go home and sit in traffic. It's horrible, right? But because I don't want it, well, how are you going to prove it? You've got maybe 3-4 years maximum until you're going to want to find, and this is real maximum. I really love living with my family, but you're going to want your own place, right? It's going to be time to move in with friends, maybe move in with a girlfriend, maybe just have my own space for myself. How are you going to afford that if you're not pushing yourself? If I work at the current rate that I am, if crunching the numbers, it wouldn't even be unrealistic to buy a small apartment or house in the next couple of years. And then you're on your way. And even if you don't want to buy it, because like I say, I personally wouldn't get a mortgage. I'd rather buy cash. Even if you don't want to do that, think about it. You can stack up 20, 30, 50 grand of investment capital. What the hell money can you make? Crazy amounts, right? Like I say, I don't want to give too much away, but just for an analogy, if I make 10% a year in the stock market, we'll just use that, right? If I've only got 1,000 in, I make £100. If I've got 100,000 in, I make, £10,000, a lot more. So here's the thing. Money is the key to money. Work is the key to money. I don't really find my fulfillment in a job. I never thought I would, and now I know I don't. But I do find extra money in it, right? You can embrace the journey or hate the journey, but life moves on either way. If you're not moving forwards, you're staying still. If you're staying still, realistically compared to everyone, you're moving backwards. And I'm glad that I've learnt this. I've seen a different side of life. I'm going to continue embracing this. It is a challenge. I'm not enjoying every day of it. I'm not going to say that, right? But it's given me some real respect for a lot of different things. And also, it's taught me to respect myself in a different way, right? It's taught me the fact that some days you can't do what you want, and that's good. Because now you're mad. Now you're angry. Now you're motivated. So, yes, that might involve going to work, but it might also involve thinking, right, if I don't get on this business, this new business that I'm trying to discover, selling clothes or selling luxury watches, then my future is this, right? Summer's days, my future is this. Fortunately, the kind of job that I have, I can kind of work it round. If I want to do short hours, I can. If I want to do long hours, I can. But summertime, I want to have enough money to have some days off, right? I've kind of got that now because I've built up the savings substantially in the past month. But I think you guys get what I'm saying, right? If you want a certain lifestyle, I'm not saying the 9 to 5, I'm not saying a job, but getting serious about life is a way to do it. So this past month, I've been very serious about life on a number of fronts, and I wanted to share that with you. I'm taking that money now, I'm investing it. I'm investing it in businesses. I'm also investing it in myself, right? In a number of ways that I will disclose as time goes on. And I'm excited to see where this journey takes me because, like I say, I've been taking things chill. And it's not okay to do that, in my opinion. If I want to get what I want in a lifetime, bro, you got to get working. Thank you. I'll see you soon.